Hello friends!
Hi everyone!
Today I'm going to give you a tip to help keep you safe, and it's probably my number one tip for staying safe in the Philippines, but it's also something that's going to apply to your whole life in general, all areas. But before I do that, I would like to take a little stroll down memory lane, and this is not something I like to do often because in reality you can't get in your DeLorean and travel back to 1985 with Michael J. Fox, as fun as that would be, but there's going to be a point to this story. When I was growing up, it was before the internet era, and I was a huge movie fan. And I liked going to the video store, renting movies. I would purchase VHS tapes, both the used tapes that they would sell at the stores for $10 or $15, or I remember in particular Kmart. They used to sell Bruce Lee movies on VHS, and these were about $15. And I would buy these movies, which was about $15, and I was a kid, so sometimes I had to save up a little bit. To me, $15 when you're a young kid like that, it's not necessarily easy to come by. But if I'd save up and go buy the movie, I didn't mind it at all, because these movies, they gave me so much pleasure, so many hours of entertainment, and a lot of inspiration. And to me, it was money well spent, and I just totally appreciated it. But now things were in a different society, a different era, especially with kids that are a little bit younger than me that didn't grow up before the internet, because I think you and I are probably that last generation of people that know what it's like to live without the internet. But I think this causes people to take things for granted, especially artistic things. People want to see movies for free, they want to read books for free, and they're so accustomed to, for free, anytime they want to see something from anywhere in the world, they can press a button and instantly it comes up, and that's pretty cool too. And something else that's really cool, especially about YouTube, one of the really great, fascinating things about YouTube is the comments section. A lot of the times, let's face it, reading comments can be more entertaining than watching the actual video. And it's really awesome that people can leave a comment and leave their thoughts, good or bad, and the people that created that content can see it. I can just imagine if I was a young kid renting these movies, and then if there was a way that I could speak to the people that made it, especially if it was just as easy as typing some text and then hitting the enter button, then instantly that message would get sent out to them. I could say, hey man, thank you guys for making that movie. I really enjoyed it. I really appreciated your effort. It was really cool. But because of these things that are so cool, the problem is a lot of people take these for granted now. And it's totally devalued art. No one wants to pay for anything, and it's almost to the point where people think it's wrong to accept money for art or for a certain service. And recently, here's the thing. I get so many emails per day because people watch my videos, then they go to my website, which is traviscraft.com, and it's very clear, I always thought, that this is a website where the purpose is, if they want to book me as an actor or a model or a director, because I also do that, then there's a contact page where they can say, hey, we have a project we're interested in using you for, what would be your rate, and you can negotiate, or they can make their offers. But what happened, and I never expected this, because when I started doing this YouTube channel, my thinking was, well, I'm going to make some great content, and then I'm going to end up on TV shows that's going to help me get hired for things. But what happened is, the way it kind of evolved is, people started to see me as a teacher, and they started liking the information I was putting out. So then people would go to my website after watching some of my videos, and they would go to the contact page and they would write me questions, because even though I've made so many different free videos, well over 300 now, I understand that people have questions to things that would apply to their unique situation, or maybe they just don't want to search through everything. It could be a lot of things, and obviously, as you pointed out, they do this because they trust me, and I should be flattered. It's a great compliment, but it just got to the point where it was overwhelming. And I saw this video. It was an interview from China. I watched it on YouTube, where Keanu Reeves was on a Chinese talk show, and all of a sudden they had this lady come out from the audience, and apparently over the years she's been writing Keanu letters. and she like brought out this letter that she had a copy of. She sent him this like 10-page letter years ago about how much she loves him, and then she very seriously, she seemed a little bit crazy actually, but she said to Keanu, "Why didn't you return my letter?" And Keanu, not trying to be rude, but being completely honest, he said, "Look, I get a lot of mail, I get a lot of letters, and I don't write anyone back. And because my email was getting so heavy and stocked up, I thought about taking that approach, but I realized that there are some people that really want my opinion. Maybe they really do need help with something. It's not just information about the Philippines. There's people also write me about a lot of other things. But to support this channel, we have a Patreon campaign, right?
Yes, because of that, I just want to say thank you so much to our Patreon family and to all of you who will also be part of our Patreon family soon.
And part of the reason I started that is, well, it helps support the content we create, but also it tells me who I should focus spending time with when people have these questions. But people, they kept writing, they kept sending email, and it just got to be too much. So I decided to start consulting. And if they want me to consult, it's very simple, very easy. All they have to do is PayPal me $25 before they send their question, then send the question, and you and I both will take time and effort giving them a good answer and making it worth their while. And some people thought when I made the video, just announcing it. Originally, I wasn't going to announce it to people. I just made the subtle change, but then people started using it, and they were sending the money, and we were getting back to their questions, and everyone was pleased with it. And I thought, well, I guess I should release a video about this just to let people know it's available. But a few people got angry at me, including one guy that said, "Oh, you were doing so good, but now I'm leaving your channel because of this. You have sponsors and get paid from YouTube," which, first of all, currently there's no sponsors on this channel. And what he did by leaving this information, he lied. He tried to put information that my viewers would see, which is a flat out lie. I know that you maybe don't like me using that term, because we'll get to why that is, because you're nicer than me. And I actually was nice and just explained my side of it. And because honestly, when I wake up and look at my email and there's 100 letters in there from people, even if I spend 5 minutes answering each one, I'm not going to have time to do anything else, and it's just going to rob me of the time that I would need to create a video that everyone can enjoy. But I got back to him, leaving that, and then he was still angry, and then you left a comment. And here's the difference between me and Imabel. Me, I'm a nice guy, but I like to just say things the way they are. And Imabel also tells the truth, and she says things. However, she's a different person than me, and she handles things, I guess, a lot more delicately, you could say. So we're both honest people, but me, I just like to be very straightforward with my style, and I believe I'm a nice guy. I'm very confident in that. I'm very confident that there's value in the content, but he said he's leaving my channel, and you know what, dude? Look, you have a huge ego to for you to think that hurts me. And for me to be a creator and as an artist, I know that some people are going to get mad anytime you do something, and I have to try and remove my ego to not depend on people's approval. I have to believe that I'm a good person, and I have to believe that I'm doing the right thing and I'm creating value for it. And if someone says, well, you're not a nice guy, or I don't like you, well, I don't need your approval. And this brings me to my point, my tip to help you guys with. And this is something that I've for a long time now, I've been saying that because I get a lot of letters, people asking me about how to stay safe in the Philippines. This is my number one tip to stay safe in the Philippines, how I see things go wrong for most people. But this is something that can apply to all different areas in your life. And basically, there's this notion that people need to consider you a good guy. And if you're going to try to win the approval of others, you're going to give away some of your power, and it exposes you actually to being manipulated. Especially with Americans. I see so many Americans that come over and they don't want to offend the local people, and then they get themselves in situations that they don't feel comfortable with, but they're afraid to say no. They're afraid that, oh, they might not like me. they might not think I'm a nice guy, but all you're doing is making a way for them to manipulate you. And look, guys, you don't need to make people happy and expose yourself to being manipulated. Your job is not to make people happy. Be a good person, make people happy, but don't depend on the approval to others. Is there...
I strongly agree with that, and I have these thoughts accumulating in my brain that I just want to share with you. First of all, I know Travis very well, and I would say he is a nice person. I would say you and I, all of us have our nice sides, and we couldn't really please everyone. We just have our unique way of addressing things, and I guess Travis is just honest and straightforward in telling or answering questions. Now, I already said this on a comment, but I would say that let me try to say this first. Travis earned that respect, and I think people look up to him, ask questions because of his track record. In fairness to him, he has proven that because of the content that he has put on YouTube, the information that he has given you guys through his YouTube channel, I know that is the reason why people respect him and would like to ask answers to these many questions. And by simply giving $25, that will actually benefit you, because that will put you on the priority list so that we will be able to give you an educated and well thought answer, right?
And let me say this real quick. When I put the video out talking about, I was just letting people know it's an option available for those that want to use it. I don't care if you use it or not. One of the main reasons I decided to implement that policy was to purposely cut down on the amount of email I get. So I don't really care. Like, it helps discourage a lot of weirdos that write me and they just want something for nothing. But it helps us focus, as you said, prioritize the people that we know are serious, because in reality, I had that one video where I was in the gym and I was talking about a lot of people want the easy life, but they want to buy into this fantasy that you don't have to put any effort for it, you don't have to make any sacrifices for what you want. And I think back to when I was competing as a wrestler. Look, part of the reason I'm very proud of my championships that I won as a wrestler and all that I accomplished is because I put in a lot of work, a lot of effort, made a lot of sacrifices to achieve it. Look, if I was just sitting on the couch, drinking beer, eating potato chips, never training, and then I just show up to the competition and win easily, it wouldn't mean anything. It would be nothing to be proud of. But I cut you off, so go ahead, Imabel.
Yes, in addition to that, I would say on Travis's channel, he has given you a lot of useful, helpful information as well as entertainment, and these videos have given you inspiration, and all these are for free. And I think that simple consultation fee is not so expensive. I realized this after I asked this question to him, because it will actually save you a lot if you...
It could save them money.
Yes.
Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. Before I came to the Philippines on my first trip, I bought a guidebook and it was like $15, and it had some stories about bad things that have happened to people that took trips to the Philippines, and I read those, and because of that, it served as like a nice warning, and I ended up on my very first trip here in a situation, I can talk about this in another video, but I ended up in a situation where I could have ended up robbed. There was some things going afoul, but because I read those stories, I was keen that this could be something that happens. And this also relates to my point about not being a nice guy. To get out of this situation where I could have potentially been robbed, I had to offend some people. I had to upset some people with some things I said and say no. But you know what? My safety was worth upsetting those people. If they don't think I'm a good guy, because I said no to putting myself in a bad situation where they might have ended up robbing me, then so be it. But continue, Imabel.
Yes, and also being on the priority list of emails and questions to answer to. Both of us work together and we do our best to really think of the best answer for you. These are based from our knowledge and experience. And I guess they're really valuable and they can really be helpful to you. And speaking of priority list, not only you guys not only you that I've mentioned who would give this minimal fee are in the priority list, but of course, most especially our Patreon family. I have endless thanks to you, our Patreon family members, because they're also the reason why we're able to continue to make videos that keep entertaining, inspiring, and informing our viewers just like you.
Let me bring up to that guy that said I'm not a nice guy and he's leaving the channel. Ooh. He also brought up, well, you should give a portion of the proceeds of these consultation fees to children and poor people in the Philippines. First of all, how do you know that we don't always do that? Because here's the thing, we don't put everything about our lives on video. I've done a lot of things in life that I've not documented or put on video, especially when I really do good things to help people. It's not something that I necessarily feel that I need to document and put out there and say, oh, look at what a good guy I am. And the few times I have shown a few things like that, honestly, I felt a little bit weird about it, because I think that most people that feel the need to document helping people, they're fake. Even the slogan for Google, which is something like, don't do evil, or don't be evil, or whatever, to me, that raises a red flags, because the only people I know that would say something like, do no evil, are people that are planning to do some evil stuff. Otherwise, they wouldn't even bring it up. But what do you have to say about that?
Yes. Well, I'm sure you guys, all of us, do charitable deeds, acts of charity in this world, but there's no need to announcing that, right? And the best reminder is what the scripture says on Matthew 6. It even says that be careful not to do, acts, not to do good deeds in public or before men in order to be seen by them. We don't need to announce it to the world, but there are instances that we can share testimonies of how our giving has blessed others. That's also a good thing, but I think we just don't have to broadcast it every time we do something, right?
And also keep in mind these videos where we let people know. Like originally, I wasn't even thinking about, I wasn't going to do a video, I wasn't going to talk about public. I just made a subtle change to the contact page of my website, letting people know that if they want consultations, this is how they should go about it. You don't have to do it. We're still going to put out lots of good free information, but this is just so we know people. It's a sign of good faith to know that they're serious. And speaking about being a nice guy, I was thinking about something, because the guy also said in those comments after Imabel got back, oh, you're so much nicer than Travis. He could really learn from you. As I pointed out, I don't need your approval to tell me I'm a nice person. That's not going to complete me. But I'm not going to argue that Imabel is a nicer person than me, or at least she handles things in a much more delicate manner than I do. And I was sometimes, a lot of the times when we go out, people come up and they say, oh, hi Travis, and they want to meet me or take a picture with me. And I always do my best to be very gracious to people, but sometimes afterwards Imabel's like, oh, you could have been a little bit nicer to them. And I'm like, well, I was nice. What am I supposed to do? Start giving them a back rub? But something happened to me years ago when I met someone that I really looked up to and idolized. I was in the gym and I saw Jean-Claude Van Damme working out in there. And I grew up watching Van Damme's movies, really looking up to him. And I knew it was my chance. I knew it wasn't a good time to approach him because clearly he was taking his workout very seriously. But I went up to him and I think I said, Mr. Van Damme. I said, Mr. Van Damme, and I held my hand out to shake it. I just want to let you know that I've really enjoyed your films over the years, and I really think what you do is fantastic. And like, he actually shook my hand, but he gave me kind of a dirty look, and he said, yeah, I'm busy, I'm gonna get going. But the thing is, it didn't make me dislike him. I mean, I was a young man, not a kid by the time I met him, so that helped me to understand. I knew I was bothering him, but I didn't have the attitude, oh, he should have been nicer to me. I'm not going to watch any more of his movies, or I regret paying to see his movies throughout the years. I understood, and Jean-Claude Van Damme doesn't owe me anything. And guys, we're going to keep serving you. And the time's running out that we have on the camera, but I'd like to say that Imabel, she has her own channel now. And you guys can check that out. Maybe you'll like her more than me, and that's okay too. So, goodbye guys.